Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. What's the cost of staying the same? See, we live in a world that loves to celebrate comfort, a world that teaches you to accept dysfunction as normal, a world that hands you a victim card and says, play this for the rest of your life. But I came to tell you something today. You've got to fix yourself before it's too late. Because let's be honest, you are the problem. But here's the good news. You are also the solution. You keep praying for your situation to change, but God is waiting on you to change. You're praying for increase, but you haven't mastered integrity. You're asking for elevation, but you're still entertaining chaos. My friends, God will not bless mess, and if He did, it would crush you. The reason some of you feel stuck is not because of the devil, it's because of delay. But hear me, delayed growth is still decay. When a tree stops growing, it starts dying, and some of you are spiritually dying while quoting scriptures you don't apply. What you tolerate, you will never transform. If you tolerate laziness, it will dominate your schedule. If you tolerate toxic relationships, they'll anchor your progress. If you tolerate poor thinking, you'll stay broke, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Internal order precedes external prosperity. You can't expect your business to multiply if your mind is still in survival mode. You can't expect your children to follow wisdom if they don't see you living it. You can't lead others if you haven't led yourself. Fix yourself. That means discipline your emotions. That means organize your thoughts. That means confront your excuses and call them what they are. Lies you told yourself to stay comfortable. And don't think you have forever. Time is not on your side. You're not promised next year. You're not even promised next week. And if you don't change today, you'll keep repeating the same cycles tomorrow. God has a divine design for your life, but He won't force it on you. You must choose to align with it. You must choose to partner with His purpose through daily discipline. So I challenge you, fix your heart. Fix your mindset. Fix your habits. Fix your spiritual walk. Because when you fix yourself, everything around you starts to fall into divine alignment. Don't wait until crisis forces you to grow. You are the problem, but you are also the solution. That statement might sound harsh at first, but it's the most empowering truth you will ever hear. See, most people spend their entire lives pointing fingers at everything and everyone, blaming the government, their parents, the economy, their boss, their upbringing, even the enemy. But the truth is, until you look in the mirror and admit that your greatest obstacle is you, you will never step into the life you were designed to live. You can't fix what you refuse to face, and you can't grow while you're busy blaming. Every time you say, I'm this way because of what happened to me, you are handing over your power. Now hear me clearly. I'm not dismissing trauma. I'm not downplaying abuse, betrayal, neglect, or loss. Those things are real, and yes, they leave a mark. But what I am saying is this: you don't have to let what happened to you determine what happens through you. The most dangerous lie you can believe is that change is someone else's job. It's not your spouse's job to make you happy. It's not your mentor's job to keep you accountable. It's not your pastor's job to carry your faith. It's not your employer's job to give you purpose. That's all on you. When you decide to take radical responsibility for your life, that's when things begin to shift. See, as long as the problem is out there, you're powerless. But the moment you say, no, I'm the one who allowed that habit. I'm the one who ignored the warning signs. I'm the one who procrastinated. I'm the one who settled. That's when power returns to your hands. Because you can't control people, but you can control your patterns. You can't change your past, but you can change your priorities. Now let me speak to your spirit for a moment. God didn't create you to be weak. He didn't create you to be a victim. He said in His word that you are more than a conqueror. That means the power to overcome is already inside you, but it doesn't get activated through complaining. It gets activated through commitment. Commitment to change, commitment to truth, commitment to discipline, and yes, it hurts. Growth hurts. Accountability stings. Truth cuts deep. But that pain, that's not punishment. That's pruning. That's God cutting away the parts of you that are blocking your next level. You've got to be willing to lose who you were in order to become who you were born to be. There's no freedom without responsibility. There's no breakthrough without honesty. So stop waiting for someone to come rescue you. No one is coming. The coach can't do your push-ups. The preacher can't read your Bible. The mentor can't heal your trauma. All they can do is point the way. You have to walk it. So today, stop saying, I can't. Start saying, I won't, because that's the truth. And once you admit that, you give yourself the choice to say, but I can, and I will. You are not stuck because of your environment. You're stuck because of your decisions. And the good news is, you can decide differently. And both of those truths, if you accept them, will unlock the door to your destiny. Delayed growth is still decay. It doesn't matter how noble your intentions are. It doesn't matter how powerful your dreams may be. If you keep telling yourself, I'll get it together someday, you are choosing silent self-destruction. See, growth doesn't happen just because you want it to. It happens because you act on it, and when you delay action, you allow deterioration. You might not see it right away. It's subtle, it's quiet, but it's there, and over time, it eats away at your potential. Let me paint you a picture. If you planted a seed in the ground and refused to water it for weeks, what would happen? It wouldn't grow. It would dry up, not because the seed was broken, but because it was neglected. Your calling is no different. It doesn't die because you weren't chosen. It dies because you didn't move. And what's worse, you convinced yourself that waiting was wisdom, but in reality, your delay is disobedience. There's a lie that says you've got time, but time is not your friend when it comes to purpose. Time doesn't wait for you to heal, to feel ready, or to figure it all out. Every second you spend stuck in hesitation is a second lost in transformation. You can be 25 or 55 and still be stuck in the same mindset, the same dysfunction, the same patterns. Not because you lack opportunity, but because you lack urgency. Some of you are preparing forever. You're studying, reading, researching, planning. And don't get me wrong, preparation is important. But don't use preparation as a hiding place. At some point, you've got to stop getting ready and start moving forward. Faith without works is dead. Vision without movement is wasted. And growth delayed is not growth paused. It is growth reversed. You can't wait for clarity to take your first step. Sometimes the step creates the clarity. Sometimes obedience opens the understanding. But if you keep waiting until it all makes sense, you'll look up one day and realize you've been standing still for years. You don't just drift into greatness. You commit to it. You sacrifice for it. You act on it even when it's uncomfortable. And let's talk about comfort. Comfort is a killer of growth. You think you're safe because nothing feels urgent. You think everything is fine because chaos hasn't hit yet. But comfort doesn't mean you're secure. It often means you're stagnating, and anything that isn't growing is dying. Your mindset, your marriage, your money, your ministry. If it's not growing, it's decaying. God never called you to stay where you are. He called you to go from glory to glory, from faith to faith. But that journey requires motion. It requires decisions. It requires growth now, not later. You can't keep putting your purpose on layaway and expect full breakthrough. There are assignments tied to your movement. There are people connected to your progress. And when you delay your growth, you delay someone else's freedom. You don't grow by default. You grow by discipline. Growth isn't always loud. It's in the daily decisions, the ones no one sees, the early mornings, the hard conversations, the prayers you didn't feel like praying. the boundaries you chose to set. That's where the real growth is. So stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you're working on it when you're really avoiding it. Stop pretending tomorrow is guaranteed, because it's not. What you're procrastinating today might become regret tomorrow. And what you're delaying now might cost you what you were born to do. Don't wait until life forces you to grow. Don't wait until the pain gets so loud that you finally move. Make the decision now. Be intentional now. Obey the call now, because delayed growth is still decay. And if you want to live in destiny, you can't afford to rot in delay. What you tolerate, you can't transform. Let that sink in for a moment. As long as you keep making space for dysfunction, you are giving it permission to stay. You're feeding the very thing you claim you want freedom from. And here's the truth. You can't conquer what you're still coddling. We live in a culture that teaches you to make peace with your pattern. It says, "That's just how I am," or "Everybody's got something." But listen, just because something is common doesn't mean it's acceptable. And just because you've learned to live with it doesn't mean it's not slowly destroying you. The problem with tolerating dysfunction is that over time it becomes your definition of normal. And when you get used to brokenness, healing feels uncomfortable, growth feels strange, discipline feels unnatural. Why? Because your tolerance has trained your mind to settle. Let's get real. You can't change what you're still defending. If you're constantly justifying your bad habits, you're not ready to break them. If you're still making excuses for toxic relationships, you're not ready for peace. If you're still explaining away your procrastination, you're not serious about purpose. Transformation doesn't begin when things get better. It begins when you get honest. Until you stop tolerating the lie, you'll never walk in the truth. People say, "God, change me," and He says, "I will." When you stop protecting the very thing I want to remove, see, God won't force transformation. He'll invite it, He'll convict you, He'll send warnings, but He won't drag you out of the pit you've decided to decorate. That's right. Some of you didn't just fall into dysfunction, you started furnishing it. You made it comfortable, you gave it access, you gave it a name like my struggle, or my anxiety, or my situation. But anything you label as yours, you'll start to guard instead of evict. What you tolerate in your mind will show up in your habits. What you tolerate in your spirit will shape your identity. If you tolerate fear, you'll never build. If you tolerate bitterness, you'll sabotage love. If you tolerate laziness, you'll watch your dreams die while convincing yourself it wasn't the right time. Let me tell you something. Tolerance is quiet agreement. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to post it. You don't have to declare it out loud. But when you allow something to stay, you're saying, "You can live here." And anything you allow to live in your life will start influencing your choices, your time, your energy, your future. So it's time to draw the line. No more tolerating what keeps you bound. No more settling for cycle. No more giving excuses a front row seat in your story. You've got to get fed up with average. You've got to get angry at what's been robbing you. Not in a carnal way, but in a spiritual one. You have to say, "This ends with me." Because what you don't deal with now, your children may have to fight later. Transformation requires confrontation. You have to confront the thought patterns, confront the behaviors, confront the stories you keep telling yourself. Change doesn't come to people who are trying their best. It comes to people who refuse to live another day tolerating what they know isn't aligned with their purpose. So take inventory. Look at your life. What have you been tolerating? In your health, in your habits, in your attitude, in your spirit. Now make the decision to remove it. Not next year. Not when it gets easier. Now. Because if you keep tolerating it, you cannot transform it. And if you won't transform it, it will eventually transform you into someone you were never called to be. Internal order precedes external prosperity. In other words, if you want to see change in your business, your finances, your relationships, or your influence, you have to get your inner world right first. The mistake most people make is chasing success on the outside while ignoring chaos on the inside. They build a nice brand, drive a nice car, wear a sharp suit, but their mind is cluttered, their emotions are unstable, and their spirit is dry. That's not prosperity, that's performance. Let me tell you something foundational. You can't sustain on the outside what you haven't built on the inside. You can't lead others with confidence if you secretly doubt your own worth. You can't walk in peace if your inner life is full of anxiety, jealousy, confusion, or pride. What's inside you will always leak out of you. That's why it's dangerous to elevate too quickly, because if you rise externally but remain broken internally, the weight of success will eventually crush you. Think about this. If the foundation of a house is cracked, it doesn't matter how beautiful the structure is. Eventually, the whole thing will collapse. The same is true with your life. A gifted man with no self-control is a threat to himself and everyone around him. A wealthy woman with a bitter heart is just a rich prisoner. You can't fix the fruit until you address the root, and the root is always internal. Here's the problem. Too many people are addicted to image management. They want to look healthy rather than be healthy. They want to post about growth but never do the hard work of healing. But real transformation doesn't happen on Instagram. It happens in private, in prayer, in quiet repentance, in tough decisions, in breaking toxic thought patterns. That's where the real work is done, where no one's clapping for you and no one sees it but God. And God is not impressed with your performance. He's not after your image. He's after your integrity, because he understands that character is the container for calling. If your character is weak, your calling will leak. That's why internal order matters. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. Are your thoughts aligned with His Word? Are your values aligned with your vision? Is your heart posture aligned with humility? You can fake it for a while. You can pretend. You can mask your brokenness with busyness. But eventually, life will squeeze you, and when it does, what's inside you will come out. If there's peace inside, peace will show. If there's order inside, order will flow. But if there's chaos inside, that's what will overflow into your relationships, your business, your decisions, and your future. So the question is, are you building internally what you want to experience externally? Don't say you want financial freedom if you can't control your appetite. Don't say you want to lead a team when you can't even lead your own thoughts. Don't say you want to grow your business when your heart still resents other people's success. That's emotional disorder. And emotional disorder will always sabotage spiritual, relational, and financial prosperity. Internal order is about stewardship. Can you manage your thoughts? Can you govern your emotions? Can you discipline your habits? Because God blesses order. His presence doesn't rest in chaos. The blessing flows where there's alignment, mind, body, soul, and spirit. So if you want prosperity, start within. Organize your inner world. Heal what's hidden. Take responsibility for what's been neglected. Because when your internal life gets in order, your external world has no choice but to follow. That's not just a principle, that's a law. And until you honor it, no amount of hustle will bring the peace or success you're truly seeking. Divine design requires daily discipline. Let that settle deep in your spirit. God created you with purpose, precision, and power, but He will not force you to become what He designed you to be. That's your responsibility. See, God can give you potential, but it's your daily discipline that activates it. You can be gifted, anointed, and full of vision, but if you lack discipline, you will waste what heaven put in you. We love the idea of destiny, but we often ignore the demands of discipline. Everybody wants the results, but very few want the routine. We want the platform, but not the preparation. We want influence, but not integrity. We want breakthrough, but not obedience. But hear me clearly. God doesn't bless lazy. He doesn't reward inconsistent. And He doesn't elevate the unfaithful. Favor is not random. Promotion is not accidental. It's the result of discipline meeting divine assignment. God gave you a blueprint. Your life, your gifts, your mind, your body, your time. They're all a part of that divine design. But it's up to you to build it, and you don't build purpose with wishful thinking. You build it with structure, with consistency, with grit. The discipline to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That's where transformation lives. That's where your next level is hiding. We often pray for God to elevate us, but He's watching to see if we can steward the small. Can you be excellent when nobody's watching? Can you serve with joy when it feels unnoticed? Can you stay faithful to the assignment when the results are slow? Because discipline isn't just about success, it's about alignment. It's how you show God that you're serious. It's how you prove that you're ready. It's how you prepare your life to hold the weight of His calling. Discipline doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up in small, quiet decisions, in waking up early to pray, in reading what you don't feel like reading, in saying no to what looks good so you can say yes to what is good, in turning down the volume of distraction so you can hear the voice of direction. That's the grind, that's the stretch, that's the part no one claps for, but heaven takes notice. Let's not get it twisted. God is not looking for perfection. He's looking for partnership. When He sees your discipline, He adds His power. When He sees your obedience, He releases His favor. When He sees your consistency, He brings the increase. But you've got to show up first. You've got to put your hand to the plow. You've got to walk it out before you feel like it. Because faith is not just belief, it's movement. And here's the truth. Undisciplined people will always struggle to fulfill divine purpose. You can be called and still miss your moment if you're not prepared. You can be chosen and still disqualified by your own inconsistency. The enemy isn't always attacking your calling. Sometimes he's just distracting you from discipline. Because if he can keep you lazy, passive, or addicted to comfort, he doesn't have to destroy you. You'll do it yourself by default. Discipline is how you respect the design. It's how you honor the calling. It's how you tell heaven, I'm ready for what you've created me to carry. So don't wait for a break. Build one. Don't wait for motivation. Train without it. Don't wait for doors to open. Prepare so when they do, you're ready to walk through with character, clarity, and confidence. Because at the end of the day, divine design is a blueprint. But it takes daily discipline to build the life God had in mind when He made you. If you've been listening closely, you already know. This isn't just a motivational moment. This is a divine mandate. Fix yourself before it's too late, not because you're broken beyond repair, but because you were built for more. The greatness inside you doesn't activate by accident. It responds to ownership, honesty, and obedience. You are the problem, but you are also the solution. Growth delayed is growth denied. What you tolerate, you can't transform. Your external world will never rise higher than your internal order and God's design for your life. It requires your daily discipline, not sometimes, not when you feel like it. Every single day. This is not about chasing perfection. It's about choosing alignment. It's about getting to the point where you say, no more excuses, no more delay, no more pretending. I'm not waiting for life to force me to grow. I'm deciding today to take responsibility for my purpose. Because if you don't fix it now, the consequences won't wait. Time doesn't wait. Purpose doesn't pause. Destiny doesn't delay forever. There is too much in you to keep living beneath your calling. It's time to rise. Time to get serious. Time to confront what's been keeping you bound and commit to becoming who you were born to be. Fix yourself, not because you're not enough, but because God already made you more than enough. Now it's time to live like it.